Bill Belichick destroy Mac Jones, or was he just not good enough?
No, it's
Nah. Oh,
yeah, it's
you go first, Kyle. You go ahead.
yeah, it's all Mac Jones is not that good. I mean, he really tried his hardest to hide his inefficiencies, but the lack of an arm and not being able to read plays, I mean, it's killed him. And that's not Bill Belichick. He can't go out there and tell him what to do, and it's just he's just not good. He's just had a good program in Alabama, and that's what it was. He shouldn't have been a first round pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Howard, but I think it's a little bit of both. I think, like Howard said, I mean, there's only so much you can do, so much you can scheme game after game to make your guy look good. Eventually you're gonna have to let him loose to you got to move the ball. And whenever they let him loose, I mean, dude, God, it is atrocious. But I think what really hurt him was McDaniel's leaving after that rookie year because that rookie year, McDaniel's. I'll say what you want about him, but as far as an offensive coordinator, he is a very skilled guy. That's like his forte. And he knew they if anyone knows Mac Jones' inefficiencies, it was the New England Patriots. But Josh McDaniels was working with him, putting the right pieces around him in his early stages there. And then when he loses Josh McDaniels and inherits this new who was it, Joe Judge or something like that, I think took over.
This year, yeah.
Yeah. He's had multiple coordinators, OCs, and Bill's the kind of guy that he wants execution. You know what I'm saying? He's not the kind of guy that wants to wait on it and he'll move on from you. And I think finally he's been able to get the front office to agree to move on from this guy because they did spend the 16th overall pick. And like I said, yeah, dude, his numbers were they inflated at Alabama? Yeah, every guy who steps in there that's not that talented, their numbers are inflated because you're playing behind the best line in college football year in, year out. You've got some of the top weapons. You got a great defense. You know what I'm saying? You're never out of any game. It's not hard. It's kind of like the Brock Purdy thing we talk about. You know what I'm saying? Not that it's easy, but it's not as hard as some other guys who got to do it with less. So
So, so from what I'm saying now, I actually disagree with y'all. I feel like Bill destroyed this kid because
Oh,
how do you go from being a Pro Bowler? And yes, Josh McDaniels, you're correct. Okay, well, when you're saying of Josh McDaniels, but his rookie year with Josh McDaniels, he was a Pro Bowler. And then you bring in Matt Patricia to go from the defensive side to becoming your offensive coordinator. You know, you put Joe Brady there. You put or who? What is his name? What Joe? Whatever.
Joe Judge.
A bunch of slapdicks at the offensive coordinator position, and then you expect for Mac Jones to overcome that. You know, a part of having success for such a long period of time, you fall stubborn in your ways. You fall into a way of where if it's not broke, you're not going to fix it. It's not going to. So when you get Tom Brady, right, and he's leads you with all this success for so many years, and then you get Mac Jones coming out of Alabama, who and at Alabama he did look like his processing speed was fast. Obviously he all the wide receivers he played with were first round talents. So it's not that hard to and like you said with the line, but same time, when you sitting here thinking that okay, I'm bringing this kid in to be the next Tom Brady, and that's your mindset, and you feel like you can just get away with throwing whatever around him, get away with putting whatever coordinator there because you're trying to look out for your boys. You're not going to give this kid the right things to succeed. And then on the real, to be honest, is Zappy better than him? Because it's like every time we see Zappy get into the game, it's the exact same thing. You know what I mean? And then as a young quarterback, it's terrible for you to keep pulling them, keep pulling them, keep pulling them, keep pulling. You're messing with his confidence, right? So not only he's playing tight to the point where like no matter what happens, go out there. All he's thinking about is not making a mistake. Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. But at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen. You know. Um, do I feel like he got talent? Yes, because if you see this kid can actually run. Whenever he get the open field, this kid can run. But they don't never utilize that. I mean, he make dumb decisions. And as a young quarterback, you gotta be able to nurture that without just being like, oh, I'm gonna pull him. You know, at this
But you made a
point,
good point, though. You made a good point, though. You know what I'm saying? When you got a guy who's not, gifted like some quarterbacks who could overcome those inefficiencies, it's all about confidence, right? And if he's lacking the confidence already as it is, you know what I'm saying? When he gets in a very stressful situation, he probably panics and, like you said, does dumb shit. But you made a good point as well. You know what I'm saying? I think it was too much of trying to turn him into the next Tom Brady instead of doing what they did with Brady and developed him. You know what I'm saying? Because Brady wasn't a finished product when he got there. They developed him along the way, and he became what he became, not only because he had the raw talent as well. You know what I'm saying? But they nurtured him and got him along the way. I think they and it kind of sucks for him coming in after Brady leaves is that he's going to be the next Tom Brady, even if he didn't even want to be, because that's the guy that was his predecessor. And I think it was too much of him becoming that rather than developing Mac Jones. Because, like you said, there is talent. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't just land as a starting quarterback on Alabama if he doesn't have talent. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't tapped into. And there's a lot of guys that are like that. Sam Darnold has talent, just never was really tapped into. You know,
And
Baker, Zach Wilson. There's a ton of them that are like him.
and Bill, I feel like Bill also is a guy that want to be the smartest man in the room at all times. You know what I mean? He's a
It's
guy
evident
that
by his draft choices these past
Oh
years.
man, yo,
But
the
so
draft
like
picks.
even last year, when Zappy came in last year, he had a few good games where people looking at him like, oh man, should we make this switch, whatever. And Bill look at it like, oh man, who would I get more credit with? A fourth round pick and Zappy, who wasn't supposed to be nothing, or Mac Jones, who was a first round pick. So I feel like it's a little bit of that. Like I feel like Bill would be a lot happier if Zappy went on to be the guy because I'll give Bill a lot more credit than absolutely needed. I feel like when you got Mac Jones, you can develop that into something. You just can't put him in predicaments where it's like, oh, you want the game to be on this kid. I don't feel like if you want the game to be on him, he's just not that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. He's definitely not gonna win. He's like, Alex Smith. Like his biggest potential could have been Alex Smith, if you keep him with the good defense and he won't turn the ball over and he can manage the hell out of a game because he's smart. I mean, the kid is smart. I'll give him that. Like he's not dumb. He knows how to read defenses. It's just his arm talent is not what they needed to be in the Patriots, or what they thought it was, because the routes they run, it's not suited for him. He's run the ball, play action, just quick stuff. He doesn't have the talent to throw a 20-yard strike down the seam. It doesn't. His arm's a noodle, So, yeah, I'm still gonna stick with Mac Jones. He's just not that talented, but you make a pretty good argument about Bill because he does look a little stubborn out there with some of the shit he does and calls.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like, Mac need to go somewhere. Honestly, I think he do need to sit for a year or two. I feel like he needs to sit behind somebody for a year or two. I feel like he could be a decent backup quarterback. I just feel like right now, his confidence is down. He's seeing ghosts. I do feel like he is seeing ghosts. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like he'd been hit a lot, so he's seeing ghosts every single time the pocket collapses. And I feel like if he goes sit behind somebody for a couple of years, maybe if somebody go down, he could get the opportunity again to be a starter. But what do y'all see a team that maybe he could go be a starter at, like maybe a next year or anything? Or do y'all see a quarterback like come in like to the end of their career that he could go sit behind and like maybe take the reins over?
Like we said with Zach Wilson, the Rams, that's really the only situation where you have a guy who's a successful QB making his way out of there. They don't really have a backup plan. You have a coaching staff that is good at developing players and developing talent. You know,